Story 1, The Photo Booth Lurker, submitted by Marion. I was at this amusement park with my friends. It was one of those big ones, you know, with roller coasters, haunted houses, and all that jazz. We were having a blast, riding the rides, eating cotton candy, and just generally enjoying the day. The sun was setting, and the park lights began to glow, giving everything a surreal, almost magical look. As the evening progressed, my friends and I decided to split up for a bit. They wanted to go on this massive roller coaster, but I'm terrified of heights, so I opted out. I figured I'd just wander around, maybe grab a snack, and meet up with them later. As I was walking, I stumbled upon this old school photo booth. You know, the kind where you drop in a coin, sit inside, and it takes 4 pictures of you. I thought it'd be fun to take some goofy pics by myself, maybe surprise my friends with them later. I stepped inside and pulled the curtain closed and sat down. The booth was dimly lit, and it had that old, musty smell. I inserted a coin, and the machine whirled to life. I made a silly face for the first pic, then a pouty for the second. But just as the flash went off for the third picture, I felt a cold hand grip my shoulder. I froze. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. I slowly turned my head, and there was a man sitting right next to me. He wasn't there before. He had a gaunt face, deep-set eyes, and a chilling smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Nice picture," he whispered, his breath cold against my ear. I was paralyzed with fear. I didn't know what to do, but then the flash went off for the 4th picture, momentarily blinding both of us. Using the split second, I shoved him away and bolted out of the booth and ran as fast as I could. I didn't stop until I found my friends. I was panting, tears streaming down my face. They were alarmed and asked me what happened. I quickly explained, and we decided to report it to the park security. Security checked the photo booth, but the man was gone. They did find the photo strip, though the first 2 pictures were of me making faces. The third was me looking terrified, with the man's face eerily close to mine. The 4th was just a blur. The park security couldn't find the man that night. They said that they'd keep an eye out and review the CCTV footage, but I never heard back from them. I can't go near photo booths anymore. Every time I see one, I remember that cold hand on my shoulder and that chilling smile. Story 2, The Empty Seat, A Day at Wraith Park, submitted by Kate. My best friend Sarah and I decided to spend a day at Wraith Park, a popular amusement park in our town. It was a hot day, and the park was bustling with families, kids, and thrill seekers. We were having a blast, laughing and enjoying the rides. As the sun began to set, we decided to go on the Phantom Coaster, a ride known for its twists and turns and dark tunnels. It's one of those rides that you go on to get a good scare, but nothing more. We got in line, and as we were waiting, I noticed a man standing a few people behind us. He was tall, with a gaunt face and piercing eyes. He seemed out of place, wearing a long coat despite the heat. I think of it as nothing more than a weird coincidence. Finally, it was our turn to ride. Sarah and I took our seats, and I noticed that man had somehow ended up right beside her. I thought it was strange, but the ride was starting, and I didn't have time to think much of it. The ride was thrilling, filled with unexpected drops and sharp turns. But as we entered one of the dark tunnels, something felt uneasy. I looked over at Sarah, and the man was gone. His seat was empty. An electric tingle raced down my back. but I told myself that he must have gotten off at some point. After the ride, Sarah and I were still buzzing with excitement. I decided to take a picture of her with the ride in the background. As I was snapping the photo, I saw the man again, standing right beside her. I quickly took the picture and looked up, but he was gone. I showed the picture to Sarah, and her face turned white. She told me that she had been alone on the ride the whole time. We looked at the photo again, and there he was, clear as day, standing beside her, his eyes fixed on the camera. We were both shaken, and we decided to leave the park. The whole way home, we couldn't move on from that feeling that we were being watched. We talked about what happened, trying to make sense of it, but we couldn't. After a long conversation, we just came up with the idea to go home and have our dads pick us up. Story 3, The Night Shift at Luna Park, submitted by Jim Lee. I used to work at this amusement park. Let's call it Luna Park. It's not the real name, but close enough. I was in my early 20s, just trying to make some extra cash during the summer. Most of the time, I worked the day shifts, helping with rides and managing queues, the usual stuff. But occasionally, I get scheduled for the night shift. That's when we do maintenance, cleaning, and prep the park for the next day. One night, I was assigned to the Whirling Teacups ride. It was one of those rides where you sit in a giant teacup and it spins you around until you're dizzy and laughing. Kids love it. But at night, with the lights off and the park silent, it's a whole different vibe. I was doing my usual checks, making sure everything was in order, when I heard a soft giggle. I froze. The park was supposed to be empty. I looked around, thinking maybe one of my coworkers was trying to play a prank on me, but there was no one in sight. I shook it off, thinking maybe I was just tired or my mind was playing tricks on me. I went back to my work, but then I heard it again. This time, it was louder, clearer, a child's giggle. A cold chill shot down my back. I grabbed my flashlight and started looking around. "Hello," I called out, trying to keep my voice steady. "Is someone there?" No response. I started to walk around the ride, shining my flashlight in every nook and cranny. That's when I saw it. One of the teacups was slowly spinning on its own. I approached it cautiously, my heart pounding. Inside the teacup, there was a small, old-fashioned doll. It had porcelain skin, rosy cheeks, and curly blonde hair. It was dressed in a frilly white dress, and its eyes were wide open, staring right at me. I swear for a split second, I thought I saw its eyes move. I reached out to pick up the doll, and as soon as I touched it, the nearby lights flickered on and off. I jumped back, dropping the doll. It landed with a soft thud, and the teacup stopped moving. I was freaked out, to say the least. I grabbed my walkie-talkie and called for security. When they arrived, I explained what happened. They had looked at me like I was crazy, but they agreed to do a sweep of the area. They found nothing. No signs of anyone being in the park. No signs of any pranks. The next day, I asked around, trying to find out if anyone knew anything about the doll. One of the older employees, a guy who had been working at Luna Park for decades, told me a story. Apparently years ago, there was a little girl who loved the Whirling Teacup rides. She'd come to the park every weekend with her favorite doll. One day, she had a terrible accident on the ride and didn't make it. They say her spirit still lingers, always looking for her lost doll.